Are you quiet quitting your relationship? Is that a term you've heard of before? I've only heard of it recently, but I've been thinking about it. Quiet quitting a relationship. When you're having a relationship, now this can be with friends, family, or a romantic other. You're in a relationship with these people and something just isn't going right. And so you kind of get quiet. You kind of quiet quit that relationship. Well, we're going to talk about that today, and I want to talk about how gratitude can actually help us through that. Gratitude can sometimes be more than just saying thank you. It can be a way, it can be a tool to help us in different scenarios in our lives. And I believe that gratitude can actually help us with this quiet quitting concept. So stay tuned to the end, and I'll give you an exercise on something you can do to help with that. The first thing I want us to think about is kind of like, well, what does it even mean? Like, what's going on inside of our brains when we are quiet quitting a relationship? And I made a little diagram for us. I'll show it to you here. It's a little diagram I made about something called transactional analysis. And I really love transactional analysis. We don't talk about it a lot for some reason in today's society or in psychology, but it's basically talking about how we have these different ego parts, and the goal is to stay in the adult ego part, but we have these different parts. We have the critical parent, we have a nurturing parent, we have a playful child, and we have this adaptive child. It's the one that kind of adapts to the environment and can sometimes be withdrawn. And so, for example, when we're silent quitting these relationships, quiet quitting, what's really happening, I believe, and I know this is true for me, is I'm usually around someone who's that critical parent, someone who is telling me what to do, telling me how things are supposed to be, or sometimes maybe you may find yourself in that critical parent role where your partner and in your relationship, the other person isn't pulling their weight. They aren't helping around the house, or they aren't cleaning. They aren't taking up, the chores that they need to be doing. So both can be happening. And so what happens with transactional analysis is when we're in these kind of loops, we can kind of get into trouble. So if that person's a critical parent, which is usually what happens with me, I fall into that adaptive child role. I become very withdrawn, and I stop texting, and I stop talking to the person, and I don't want to hear from them. I want to kind of mentally distance myself from them. That's how I deal with it. And that is quiet quitting that relationship. And I think it's not a very healthy way to go around trying to have relationships with other people. You either need to, I started to say, you either need to poop or get off the pot. You you really need to be honest with that person and honest with yourself about where the relationship is going. But it's hard to do when you're stuck in this critical child. I mean, when you're stuck in this, adaptive child, and there's this critical parent always yelling at you, or you're having to be the critical parent to some person who doesn't know how to be an adult. And so you're trying to tell them how to behave. And it's an endless cycle. It's a loop unless we learn how to stop it. And the way we learn how to stop it is trying to stay in that adult role. Staying in that adult role. And this is where gratitude can come in. Because when we're dealing with someone, if we are viewing them from a place of frustration and some negativity, we're only going to see the negative stuff that they do. Our brains are trained to focus on the negative, especially when we're in that mindset, a critical parent type role, or we're judging them. So we're always filtering everything through this critical lens. But what we can do is we can apply gratitude. And when we apply gratitude, it forces us into that adult role. So when I say using gratitude, well, how do we do that? I think it's important. We can't see gratitude in the other person when we are angry with them, we're disappointed in them. So when we get into that adult mindset, I've noticed usually someone else will get into that adult place as well. So using gratitude, finding things in the other person that you're grateful for. And when something happens, when the person actually is acting like an adult, compliment them. I mean, I've done that. I've had people who, once they finally start acting like an adult, I say to them, I'm really glad we had that conversation. I'm glad we were able to have this adult conversation. This is something we needed to get through. So notice those types of situations when it actually does happen. So showing that gratitude towards them. And I've noticed so many times when that happens, it takes the other person and it puts them in their adult state. And when we're communicating adult to adult, that is when the best communication happens. That's when we can have a great relationship. That's when relationships grow and bond. And so it's good for us to ourselves stay in the adult spot and then also try to help the other person get in there with gratitude. So the challenge I mentioned is I'd recommend trying this, just a little challenge for just the next 3 days. Try to find little ways you can be grateful for the other person and express that gratitude to them. Maybe they finally cleaned the dishes. Maybe they finally took out the trash. Maybe they helped around the house. I don't know. Whatever it is, anytime over the next 3 days you see that person doing something positive and they're acting like the adult, just do that because that's positive reinforcement. The more they see it's okay to be in that adult state and they don't have to be the critical parent or they don't have to be the adaptive child, the more they're going to stay in that position, in that ego state, and we can as well. And then just our relationships become much more harmonious. So over the next 3 days, give it a try. And if they are still a jerk, just boot them to the curb. I'm just kidding. And you might have to have a different conversation with them. But after 3 days, if it's still not working, then you really have to come back and say, is this really worth it? What's really going on? Do I need to keep this up or is it just unsalvageable? So that can be a topic for another video. But I hope that helps you using gratitude to help you stay in the adult state. I hope you like this kind of information. I love it. Please leave a comment and let me know what you think about this kind of stuff. If you've ever used gratitude in this way, or if you silent quit, if you quiet quit relationships, how's that worked out for you? I mean, I've done it and it works, but it's not the best thing to do. So leave a comment, let me know. Please like and subscribe. It lets YouTube know who to send this information out to. If you'd like to, you could make a contribution on my Ko-Fi page. I'll leave the link in the description. I really appreciate that. And I really love this community. I love having you all here with me in the forest. And so let me know what topics you want to cover also, because I want to make sure that I'm making videos that you all enjoy. So I hope that you're doing well. Keep me posted. Please stay grateful. Please stay kind. And as always, I'm grateful for each and every one of you. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day.